Victor, come here now. Yes, mom, I'm coming. Victor answered his mother. As he approached her, Mama Victor immediately stood up and pushed Victor out of the house in the heavy rain. Get out of my house! I don't want you anymore. You are disgracing me. Mommy, please. Mommy, please, what have I done wrong? Mommy, please, what have I done wrong? What happened, mommy? But mommy, you said you love me, mommy, please. In a small town in Lagos, 9-year-old Victor was born with a disability, one that made him seem different from other children. Because of his speech difficulties and inability to walk from birth, people often called him a crippled boy. His father, a mechanic, carried the weight of his son's condition heavily, seeing it as a mark of shame. One day, as Victor's father sat at home, flipping through a newspaper, he thought back to the ridicule he had faced from his colleagues the day before. The insult rang in his head, mocking him, making him feel less of a man. In a sudden outburst of rage, he turned to his wife, pointing a finger at her, yelling, "You gave birth to that fool! Because of you, because of him, I am the laughingstock everywhere I go." Mama Victor was stunned, feeling the weight of her husband's anger and disappointment. She begged him to stay, falling to her knees in tears, pleading for their family. But Victor's father, filled with bitterness and shame, pushed her away, leaving the house without looking back. Neighbors gathered outside, whispering, their pity and judgment seeping through the walls of their home. Mama Victor sat on the floor, devastated, wondering how she would survive alone with her son. With her husband gone, Mama Victor struggled to make ends meet. Her small store in the market brought in barely enough to buy food, let alone cover school fees for Victor. Her frustration grew each day as she watched other mothers with their healthy, normal children. The whispers and sneakers in the market never seemed to end, and each comment made her feel as if she were sinking deeper into despair. At first, she tried to be strong for Victor. She cooked, cleaned, and put on a brave face, but over time, bitterness took root. Every spilled cup of water, every stumble Victor made felt like a reminder of her shattered dreams. She began to snap at him, her words sharp, the warmth in her eyes replaced by a cold distance. One night, after a long day at the market, filled with insults from customers, Mama Victor felt like she couldn't take it anymore. Thunder rumbled in the sky as rain began to pour down. She looked at Victor, sitting quietly, his innocent eyes watching her. The sight of him ignited a spark of anger she could no longer control. She yanked open the front door, pushing Victor out of the house. "You are nothing but a burden," she yelled, her voice filled with frustration. "Get out! I don't want you here anymore." Victor looked up at her, tears streaming down his face, trying to understand. "But Mama, I thought you loved me. Why are you doing this to me?" She didn't respond. Instead, she shut the door hard, leaving him in the rain. Victor cried out, "Mama, please. I don't know where to go. Please, Mama, please." But she ignored his pleas, turning her back on him. Left alone in the rain, Victor wandered down the empty streets, cold and hungry, wondering what he had done wrong. For days, Victor wandered, begging strangers for food, surviving on scraps. Most people shooed him away, calling him names: "Mumu, idiot, good for nothing poor boy yo." The harsh words stung, but he was too hungry and too tired to care anymore. He learned to find small corners to sleep in, using cardboard for warmth, his heart aching with loneliness. Each day, he watched as other children walked to school, laughing and carefree. But for Victor, every day was a battle to survive. His only companions were stray dogs and the few kind souls who sometimes offered him a piece of bread or a place to rest. He grew used to sleeping in allays, his only blanket the sky above. At 13, Victor managed to find work as a helper at a construction site. The work was hard, the hours long, but he took pride in the small wage he earned each day. He felt a spark of hope, a chance to build a better life. However, that hope was short-lived. His co-workers, seeing him as a prey, planted a stolen money in his bag, accusing him of stealing. When the boss searched his bag and found the money, he didn't listen to Victor's pleas. Oga, abeg, I no take your money, Oga, please. Oga, abeg, I need this job, Oga, please. I didn't take it, Oga, please. I'm not a thief, Oga, please. He cried, but his words were ignored. They beat him up, called him a criminal, and threw him out. Heartbroken, Victor used the last of his small savings to buy oranges, hoping to sell them on the busy streets of Lagos. Each day he called out, Sweet orange, buy your sweet oranges. Sugar, 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 sugar lele, buy your sweet oranges. With time, he built a tiny income, enough to buy food and occasionally save a bit. Despite everything, Victor still believed in miracles. Every night, as he sat in his small corner on the streets, he prayed for a better life, asking God to make him whole. He dreamed of being able to speak clearly, of standing tall without stumbling, of one day finding a family who would love him. One morning, he woke up feeling different. His mind was clear, his body steady. Overwhelmed with joy, he realized that his prayers had been answered. He was healed. Victor cried, thanking God for this gift. He knew this was his chance to change his life. Victor, now 17 years old, enrolled himself in school despite his age. Walking through the gates, he felt nervous but determined. Other students laughed and mocked him, calling him Orange Boy, reminding him that he is a street vendor selling oranges on the streets. But Victor didn't let their words break him. He studied harder, determined to prove himself. With time, he won the respect of his classmates and teachers. His intelligence and kindness shone through, and he became a favorite among teachers, his grades climbing higher each term. He held on to his dream of becoming a doctor, knowing he could one day help those in need. Years passed, and Victor's hard work paid off. He graduated at the top of his class, earning a scholarship to study medicine in the United States. Tears filled his eyes as he thanked his teachers, the memories of his struggles on the streets flashing before him. He promised himself he would make something of his life, not just for himself, but for everyone who had believed in him. In America, he threw himself into his studies, becoming one of the top students in his class. His resilience and dedication won him the admiration of his professors and classmates. Years later, as a successful doctor, Victor returned to Nigeria for a medical conference. He had become a symbol of hope, his story of overcoming adversity spreading across his community. During his visit, he heard about a terrible accident. 2 buses had collided, leaving many injured and several dead. Driven by a strange sense of duty, he rushed to the scene to help. Among the injured, he saw a weak woman lying on a stretcher. Her face was thin, her hair was grey, but there was something familiar in her eyes. His heart pounded as if he realized it was his mother. Victor knelt beside her, his hands shaking. Despite everything, he felt no anger, only sorrow. His mother opened her eyes, seeing him for the first time in years. She tried to speak, but her voice was weak. A single tear rolled down her cheek as she whispered, "I'm sorry." Victor held her hand, his own eyes filling with tears. "I forgive you, Mama," he said softly, but before he could say more, her eyes closed and her hand went limp in his. She was gone. He later learned that his father had also been in the accident, dying instantly. The two people who had abandoned him were now gone, leaving him with a bittersweet sense of closure. Victor returned to the US, dedicating his life to helping others. He set up scholarships for underprivileged children, ensuring they had access to education and support. He opened clinics in underserved communities, providing medical care to those who couldn't afford it. He married a kind, loving woman, and they had 3 children. As a father, Victor was everything he had once wished for: loving, patient, and kind. He taught his children to value compassion, resilience, and kindness, ensuring they grew up in a home filled with love. Victor's story became a beacon of hope for others. People shared his journey, inspired by his strength and perseverance. His life was a testament to the power of forgiveness, faith, and resilience. In the quiet moments, he would sit with his children, sharing stories of his struggles and triumphs, teaching them that no matter how hard life gets, one can rise above. And though he had endured unimaginable pain, he had turned it into a life of purpose, creating a legacy of hope that would live on. Key morals for Victor's story. The first one, resilience can turn pain into power. Secondly, forgiveness heals wounds others leave behind. Thirdly, young beginning doesn't define your end. The fourth one, believe in yourself even when others don't. The fifth one, with hope and hard work, miracles happen. The sixth one, true success is rising above the odds. The seventh one, compassion and kindness can change lives. The eighth one, let challenges build you, not break you. The ninth one, don't let rejection stop you from greatness. And the 10th one, which is the last one, helping others can bring purpose to pain. Thanks for watching this story and hope you enjoyed it. Subscribe for more stories. See you in my next one.